Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So the latest projections are officially in as far as the next Social Security COLA increase goes. In today's video, we are going to be breaking down everything that you need to know. But before we go ahead and dive into for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into it for today. So we had new official inflation numbers out for the month of August, and this gets us 1 month closer to knowing what the official cost of living adjustment increase is going to be. Now, of course, the inflation numbers are always 1 month behind, so the reason we're just now receiving the numbers for August is because we don't receive the August inflation numbers until September, and we're not going to be receiving the September inflation numbers until next month in October. And on October 15th, we're going to know officially what the next cost of living adjustment increase is going to be looking like. But with today's numbers, we have a very, very good idea of what your COLA increase is going to be looking like. And inflation is actually continuing to move upward. This could actually be a good thing as well as a bad thing. Of course, the bad thing is that we're going to have to pay for more goods and pay more for goods and services wherever we go, whether it's for housing, whether it's at the grocery store, gas station, wherever else. Prices continue to trend upwards. The good thing, of course, is that you're also going to be receiving a higher cost of living adjustment increase. So, that sort of offsets the inflation in a way. But once again, we're going to go ahead and dive into the numbers here. What exactly is going on with inflation and what the COLA increase is going to be looking like? So according to CNN, they see that double whammy for Americans. Inflation continues to rise as job outlook grows weaker. So the job numbers aren't especially looking all that great either, and inflation continues to move upward. Could we potentially be moving into a recession? Let's hope not. But according to CNN, the cost of living continues to increase for Americans at a time when the job market appears to be on shakier footing. Consumer prices rose 0.4% in August. That's 4.8% year over year, driving the annual inflation rate to 2.9%, the highest since January. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data released on Thursday, the reading marked an acceleration from the 2.7% increase seen in July, with price hikes driving up the cost of Americans' most basic needs. So inflation, once again, is on the rise. Annualized, if you take the month-to-month rate, it's very, very close now to 5%. That is going backwards. At the beginning of this year, we were looking at perhaps inflation dropping all the way down to 2%, perhaps even into the high ones. But now we're flirting once again with 3%, possibly 4 or even 5%. Let's hope they can get this turned around. Things aren't looking good as far as prices rising once again. Now they go on here to say that the latest consumer price index provided further evidence that costs from President Donald Trump's policies, such as sweeping and steep tariffs, are being passed along to consumers. So for example, grocery and fuel prices shot higher in August after falling the month before. Food at home prices rose 0.6%, the highest monthly jump in nearly 3 years, and gas prices climbed by 1.9% after falling 2.2% the month before. So once again, prices are on the rise no matter where you go, whether it's a grocery store, the gas station, shelter, housing, whatever. Prices are once again rising. This is a trend that we do not want to see continue. But of course, because of this, cost of living adjustment increases are going to be higher to sort of offset that. But typically, these COLA increases don't actually keep up with inflation. So we're always going to be a little bit behind of what inflation actually is. Now, they also say that the housing-related shelter category, which is the heaviest weighted in the CPI, was the leading contributor of August's monthly increase. However, on an annual basis, shelter inflation continued to slow from pandemic-era highs to 3.6%, its lowest rate in nearly 4 years, excluding food and energy, which tend to be volatile categories that closely watched core CPI index rose by 0.3%, on a monthly basis, which is a slight acceleration in pace, but held steady at 3.1% for the 12 months ended in August. Now, you might think with inflation rising, we might see the next projection for the COLA increase to also rise as well. If you remember last month, the projection from the Senior Citizens League, also for myself, came in at right around 2.7%. So you might expect that rising once again up to 2.8%. Well, it actually held steady at 2.7%, although if inflation continues to rise this month, we might actually see that get bumped up to 2.8 or 2.9%. But we're looking steady right now at 2.7%. So according to the Senior Citizens League, TSCL's model predicts that the 2026 cost of living adjustment will be 2.7% when announced on October 15th. That's the same as last month's prediction of 2.7%. It would raise the average monthly benefit for retired workers by $54 per month from $2,008 to $2,062, and a COLA of 2.7% would be higher than 2025's COLA of 2.5%, but lower than the 2024 COLA of 3.2%. Over the last 20 years, the COLA has averaged 2.6%. So with that said, a 2.6% average as far as the COLA increase goes, 2.7% for next year would be right in line with the average, although once again, we were looking at probably a 2% COLA increase for 2026 earlier on this year. Then all those tariffs were announced and we began to see prices once again begin to increase. Now they go on here to say that the final COLA depends on next month's CPI release. The COLA is calculated by taking the average annual inflation as measured by the CPIW for July, August, and September. The CPIW for July was 2.5%. The CPIW for August announced today was 2.8%. And some Americans will see a change in how they receive their Social Security payments as early as this month. So the Social Security Administration is set to stop mailing paper checks on September 30th. That's coming up in just 19 days. Following a March 2025 executive order, nearly 400,000 beneficiaries still receive paper checks according to the SSA. So for those 400,000 beneficiaries of Social Security who still rely on paper checks for their Social Security benefits, they are going to have to switch over within the next 19 days, or probably even sooner than that, to a bank account or a direct express card in which they'll be able to still receive their Social Security benefits, and they'll actually be able to get it a little bit faster because they will no longer have to wait for a paper check to arrive in the mail. Now, to sort of sum all this up, as far as key insights go, inflation is substantially higher than our model predicts at the beginning of the year. In January 2025, our model predicted that inflation would cool and the COLA would come in at 2.1%. Instead, the prediction steadily ticked upward throughout the year as the Trump administration implemented economic policy changes, including aggressive tariff policies that some experts say had the potential to increase inflation. Also, the 2026 COLA will likely be about average from a historical standpoint. If it comes in at the projected figure of 2.7%, the 2026 COLA would be 0.1 percentage points higher than the 2.6% average over the last 20 years. What is the lowest COLA over the last 20 years? It's a tie between 2010 and 2011, which had COLAs of 0%. And as far as the highest goes, that was pretty recent. The 8.7% COLA was implemented in 2023. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that even with that 2.7% COLA next year in 2026, if 2.7 is what it ends up being officially, you will have to keep in mind the Medicare Part B premiums are also going to be rising by right around 11%. That's going to be boosted right around $20 to $23 every single month. So whatever you're receiving as far as your increase goes, just keep in mind that the Medicare Part B premium is going to be deducted pretty much from that increase. So for some, it could mean that your COLA is cut in half. For others, it could mean almost no cost of living adjustment increase at all. But with that said, what would you think about a 2.7% COLA next year in 2026? Would you be satisfied with it? Would it be something that you're unhappy with? Leave your thoughts and comments below. But that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.